people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
You know, he won. We know why he won, because I want to get the AJ fight going on. This is what happens when you fight on Eddie Hearn shows.
What's that then?
Yeah, if you fight on DAZN, this is what happens. You fight on Sky and BT, and then you get a good crowd.
It seems that Chisora has taken it upon himself to start taking shots at DAZN, the platform where he just fought.
I'm gonna kill DAZN, bro. I'm gonna slay DAZN.
I suppose that his next fight, his upcoming fight, this fight this weekend, has nothing to do with that. The fight with Tyson Fury on BT.
The one they're still trying to sell.
Yeah. There's no, DAZN is done because I don't fight on DAZN. DAZN is only good when I fight on it. If I'm not on DAZN, don't buy your subscription. It's fine. What is DAZN producing right now?
Roman Gonzalez versus Gallo Estrada 3 this weekend. That's what they've got going on this weekend.
YouTuber fights. There's more YouTuber fights on DAZN right now than professional fights. When they came in the game, they told us, watch all the fights you want on this.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of fights on it, like Wood versus Conlon and Joshua versus Usyk 2 and Canelo versus Bivol,
to name a few.
Guess what we're watching now? YouTuber fights now.
You mean like the one that Frank Warren's been trying to make between Tommy Fury and Jake Paul? YouTuber fights like that?
I think KSI is doing more promotion on DAZN than DAZN themselves.
And I think this is just another desperate arm of promotion for a repackaged, refurbished trilogy that no one was asking for. Now that he's fighting on BT, naturally, he's going to take shots at Matchroom, going to take shots at DAZN. It's no less than I expect from Chisora, who marches to the beat of his own drum, pledges fealty and loyalty to no one, and he's going to tell you what he thinks. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. He's at liberty to do so, but then again, so am I. So am I as a paying customer, a consumer of the sport. And you're lying to yourself if you're telling yourself that either Sky Sports or BT Sport have the same catalog this year alone, that Matchroom and DAZN have had. Matchroom and DAZN this year alone have brought us a Fight of the Year candidate in Lee Wood versus Mick Conlon, a Women's Fight of the Year candidate in Taylor versus Serrano, a shock upset loss for Canelo Alvarez in the Bivol fight, and Canelo's ring return. The long-awaited, long-anticipated trilogy between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, a trilogy that had a lot more precedence, I think, than the one that Derek's about to have this weekend. Derek already lost to Tyson Fury 2 times. You think Derek's shooting off at the mouth, the way he's shooting off at the mouth, you don't think him fighting on BT Sport this weekend has anything to do with that? What are you telling me? You're telling me that BT Sport, Queensbury Promotions, has put on the same number of memorable shows this year that Matchroom has put on? This entire year, BT Sport has really only put on one major show and one major fight, and that was some months ago when Tyson Fury shared the ring with Dillian Whyte. In spite of a lackluster undercard overall, that was a big-sized fight, big-sized show, but that was it. How many shows that same size has BT put on? Because they've got a whole year to fill. There are 12 months in a calendar year. There have only really been 2 memorable shows on BT Sport, Queensbury by my count, Fury versus Whyte, and Joyce versus Parker. And Joyce versus Parker, that wasn't even a big show, but it was a good fight. It was a good show, and it was a good fight, but Matchroom puts on good fights all the time, like Wood versus Conlon, Bivol versus Ramirez. Bivol versus Canelo, which was a big upset, a memorable one. It wasn't just a good fight, it was a big fight. Canelo versus Golovkin 3 was a big fight. Whether you liked it or not, it was still a big fight. You're trying to repackage and reheat a fight between you and Tyson Fury, which is tantamount to yesterday's meatloaf. You don't have a single recorded win over this man. And I don't even think those first two fights were box office, not even in the United Kingdom, not at the time. So for you to turn around when you've got losses in the double digits and you're older and you've lost even more fights.
Hey, I like Derek Chisora, but I ain't gonna pour sugar on shit.
Thankfully, in the United States, as opposed to the United Kingdom, in the United States, it's not a pay-per-view. It's not a box office fight. And that's no coincidence. They tried that with the Dillian Veit fight earlier this year, and I have no doubts they didn't yield.
No, they didn't get a big return on that. Not in the United States, my friend. Not in America.
So they've likely learned from their mistakes this time with this trilogy that no one is asking for. There are actually two trilogies set to go down this weekend. And you tell me, as a boxing fan, which one are you more excited about? The trilogy no one was asking for in Fury versus Chisora 3, or the trilogy, the third installment, the third fight between Gallo Estrada and Roman Gonzalez.
And remember, if you're in the UK, it's a pay-per-view for you.
One of those trilogies is, can you guess which?
Hey man, a lot of people in boxing are full of shit.
That includes the fighters. That includes Derek Chisora. Oh, you might like what Derek Chisora does inside the squared circle when he's in between those ropes. You might.
And I do too. I'm still a fan. He's still entertaining, but that doesn't mean he's not full of shit.
He's full of shit. And so's the guy he's about to share the ring with, Tyson Fury. He's full of shit too. They both are.
You've got the fame, you've got not really about the money or all that shit. Wherever the biggest money is, that's where we'll go. Not really about the money or all that shit. Wherever the biggest money is, that's where we'll go.
So is it about the money? Is it not about the money? Which one is it? I struggle to find someone in today's boxing landscape more full of shit than Tyson Fury.
Derek's full of shit too. A lot of people in boxing are full of fucking shit. Full of it.
And that's what I see when Derek decides to take shots at DAZN.
Full of shit.
I think that might happen. There is a chance that his return might happen, might take place, but there's gonna be only one reason for that: is a fight for the world title with Tyson Fury, the rematch that is still due to happen.
It's been approximately 7 years since Vladimir Klitschko first shared the ring with Tyson Fury way back when in 2016. It's been approximately 7 years since that fight. 6 years since Vladimir last saw action. And I don't know if this renewed interest in competition comes from his country being enthralled in war, in the midst of war, wanting to give his countrymen something to aspire to.
Wants to inspire his people, is that it?
Or is it just Vladimir Klitschko wanting to exact vengeance on what he sees as a con man and an opportunist? As a lot of people view Tyson Fury in that scope, in that realm. Not everybody buys into his mental health crap, his mental health bullshit, while he runs around taking the piss out of everybody, then expects the world to feel sorry for him because he's supposed to be chemically imbalanced. I wonder how chemically imbalanced he is while passing medicals, being cleared, medically cleared, to fight.
Right.
You've got the fame, you've got not really about the money or all that shit. Wherever the biggest money is, that's where we'll go. Not really about the money or all that shit. Wherever the biggest money is, that's where we'll go.
Tyson Fury has turned his sad little story into quite the lucrative business. How much merchandise, how much crappy merchandise is he hawking these days? How many books where he details his
mental health battle? Hey, are you on any medications for this mental health battle that you're having? Who diagnosed you?
If Tyson Fury is, in fact, chemically imbalanced in any way, how is he passing medicals in order to compete as a pugilist, in order to compete as a boxer? That's a genuine question.
A legitimate one. If you're on any kind of medication for your supposed condition, I don't think it's conducive towards your mental health, you getting punched in the head.
There as I can tell, all it really does is afford Tyson Fury the opportunity to run around taking the piss out of everybody with impunity, because as soon as they try to take the piss out of him, he can start crying about his mental health.
He bailed on the Klitschko rematch due to his supposed mental health. He was mentally unfit.
It's what they said. And as a result of that, he left Vladimir Klitschko high and dry. He never honored the rematch. He never gave him that second fight. Now, Tyson Fury, he seems to be doing okay mentally these days, and because of that, Vladimir's talking about a comeback, a rematch, and the focal point of a return to the squared circle would be getting Tyson Fury back in the ring. Though Vladimir, he is a lot older than he was when they first fought.
Though at the same time, Tyson Fury's not too good to revisit his old stomping grounds. Look at who he's fighting this weekend. A guy he beat 2 times already with losses in the double digits.
Do you think Tyson Fury would do it?
Yeah, I actually think he would, because Vladimir's older and he's not the threat to him now that he used to be 6 or 7 years ago. So it's not outside the realm of possibility.
He was 39 years old in the first fight, 6 or 7 years ago. 39 years old. He was already pushing 40 then. He's 46 years old now. 6 years removed from the sport. And a guy like that, under those circumstances, yeah, Tyson Fury's not too good to fight a guy like that, I'd wager. It all depends on how serious Vladimir is about this comeback. Now, I think even a 46-year-old Vladimir Klitschko, if he can get in a couple of tune-up fights to get back in the swing of things,
he can probably beat your average boxer here today, your average boxer. But Tyson Fury, much as I don't like this guy, he ain't your average boxer. So Tyson Fury would be a significant favorite over a 46-year-old Vladimir Klitschko.
I suppose that before it even becomes about one Ukrainian, it must first become about another. Vladimir Klitschko's countryman and current reigning unbeaten unified Ring Magazine heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk. His handler, Alexander Krasiuk, says the only thing pending is the consent of one tall gypsy man, as Alexander Usyk's manager has confirmed that they're awaiting Tyson Fury's approval to make the fight against Usyk.
What's supposed to be the undisputed heavyweight title fight?
The fight that, according to Alexander Krasiuk, is supposed to go down somewhere in between February 18th and March 4th. That is their window of opportunity to do the fight. And don't forget, there's an IBF order pending for Alexander Usyk to take on Croatian sensation Filip Hrgovic. That entire situation that requires reconciliation. A lot has been said the last couple of days. Tyson Fury, in so many words, stated that he refuses to fight for the red belt, for the IBF title. He will not give them sanctioning fees for that belt due to being stripped of it immediately after the first Klitschko fight.
He has confirmed that he does not want to fight for the IBF world title. So therefore, he can't fight for the undisputed. So, I mean, they're not my words. They're Tyson Fury saying, I'm telling you now, I am not fighting for the IBF world title. It is not on the line. I'm not paying them sanction fees unless they pay me back what I paid them in the past. So therefore, Filip Hrgovic is now a shoo-in to fight, to be ordered to fight Alexander Usyk. So I think there's a very good chance that the IBF title will become vacant now for Usyk, which would be a shame because there'd be no undisputed, but who knows?
So it's looking a lot like, even if they move forward with the fight, even if Usyk and Fury do in fact end up fighting sometime in between, I don't know, February 18th and March 4th, it may not be for all the marbles. It may not be for all the belts.
Strange that the same man who places so much emphasis in completing 2 trilogies, 2 separate trilogies, in order to make history, strange that he puts more emphasis on that than fighting for all the marbles. That's historical, even more historical in and of itself, because you wouldn't be the first guy that fought in 2 trilogies.
He wouldn't. Muhammad Ali fought in 2 trilogies, the Joe Frazier trilogy and the 3 fights with Ken Norton.
Tyson Fury would not be the first heavyweight to complete 2 trilogies in his career, but he would be the first undisputed champion in the 4-belt era if he didn't go making things difficult the way he has a knack for making things difficult.
I, as a boxing fan, I, as a consumer, would prefer that the IBF not impede this process. There's no need for it. We're on the eve of the undisputed title fight. And even if Tyson Fury doesn't want to pay sanctioning fees, Alexander Usyk might. So the belt might still be on the line for him should he win.
Should he lose and the belt stays vacant, it would be defaulted to Filip Hrgovic, at which point Anthony Joshua, his Matchroom stablemate, would be able to box him for it at some point next year.
The way it breaks down, if the IBF ends up stripping Alexander Usyk of the red belt due to non-compliance, satisfy his mandatory challenger, or, they let him hang on to it long enough that he takes it to the Fury fight, but he loses, in both of those scenarios, separate scenarios,
the belt goes vacant, goes to Hrgovic, at which point Filip Hrgovic can then defend it against Anthony Joshua in a big cash fight for him.
And a chance for Anthony to see himself crowned a 3-time heavyweight champion. 2-time heavyweight champions, that's a very short list A 3-time heavyweight champion, that's an even shorter list.
And then, Tyson Fury, if he's still around, he can then look to fight the winner of that fight in what would be an even bigger fight, an even bigger cash fight for presumably all the marbles, as Anthony, should he beat Hrgovic, would have the last missing puzzle piece. That's one way it could all break down.
Yeah, it could happen that way. It could. It could. But don't forget that Eddie Hearn has revealed he's had very nice conversations with Deontay Wilder's manager, Shelley Finkel, in recent days, and they've cleared the air about failed Anthony Joshua talks. Hearn said they now have open communication to try and make the fight in 2023. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of plans.
You've got the Hrgovic IBF stuff going on. You've got the Dillian White rematch, potentially.
And a few other names that are in the hat for a potential Anthony Joshua fight upon his ring return, which is set to go down in the first quarter of next year. What may be influencing the Wilder people to revisit these talks after all this time? And I told you, Wilder's been fighting on Fox his last couple of fights. He hasn't actually fought on the Showtime platform since the Dominic Breazeale fight of 3 or 4 years ago, however long it's been. And it's rumored that Fox will be leaving the sport of boxing after this year. So if you're Wilder, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to Showtime, box Andy Ruiz?
In a WBC final eliminator to become Tyson Fury's mandatory challenger. Tyson Fury, who's already kicked your ass up and down that ring 2 times.
And never mind that boxing Andy Ruiz on Showtime won't get you anywhere near as much money as boxing Anthony Joshua would, as boxing Anthony Joshua could. That might be what's motivating the Wilder people to forego their initial plan and go another route, the Joshua route. But like I said, this thing don't happen if they keep up with all the promotional and platform issues. You want to do this thing, you do it on DAZN.
And it's as simple as that.
Otherwise, you can go, you can fuck off, fight Andy Ruiz.
Do what you want to do with whoever you can do it with on your side of the street, if there's even anybody left over there.
What do they got over there? Andy Ruiz, Frankie Sanchez. What do you want to do? You want to have a trilogy with Luis Ortiz?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do, huh? So, on that premise, maybe this is a genuine and earnest interest from both sides to do the fight in the coming year, because it's still a very big fight. Even if it's not everything that it was, it's still very big.
Bigger than anything you can do at the PBC.
Both you and Andy just did next to nothing at the box office here in the United States, what's supposed to be the premier boxing market.
They put those 2 guys in the ring with each other. What do you think it's going to do at the box office? 150 to 200,000 if you're lucky.
Given that that fight doesn't bring in the same synergy as a Joshua versus Wilder fight would, and they have piracy to think about as well, rampant piracy in the sport.
So maybe on that premise, because Deontay Wilder ain't getting no younger, maybe on that premise they're actually serious about doing a fight this time.